Welcome everyone to this module on writing essentials. We have started another series titled Mechanics of Writing, and this is the lecture 5 in the series of Mechanics of Writing. In this series, we have been looking into different aspects of punctuation and their application in writing. In this video, we will be learning about the various uses of apostrophes. We will be learning about how to use hyphens, when to use parentheses or brackets, when to use diagonal marks or slant marks, and how to incorporate numbers in our writing. So we'll be starting with the apostrophes. Apostrophes are one of the key punctuation marks in English, and sometimes they are rather misunderstood about their usage. One big thing that apostrophes do or uh, have usage is that we use apostrophes to show possession. Look at these examples. These books belong to the girl. The same sentence can be rewritten as these are the girl's books. We must update the computer system of the hospital. That can be written as we must update the hospital's computer system. I need to switch the veterinarian of my dog. I need to switch my dog's veterinarian. In all of these sentences, what we find is we have used apostrophe to talk about the possession. So apostrophes are used to show that one or more things belong to one or more people or things. Apostrophes are often used because they shorten the sentences. That means we require fewer words to write it, and as well as it means fewer words for the reader to understand. Changing the location of an apostrophe in a sentence can change the meaning of a sentence. For example, if we say these are the girls' books and we use apostrophe after L and before S, this means that the books belong to one particular girl. But if we use the apostrophe at the end of S, which then becomes these are the girls' books, the books belong to more than one girl. So just the change of location of an apostrophe can change the meaning of a sentence, whether it's one girl or more than one girl. We must update the hospital's computer system. Similarly, that could mean the computer system of one hospital. But if we change the position of the apostrophe and put it after a S, that means there are more than one hospitals we are talking about. Similarly, in the third case, I need to switch my dog's veterinarian. That means there is more than one dog in my possession. So it is very essential that if it's a singular word, we use apostrophe straight after the word and before S. But if that is we are talking about plural nouns, then the apostrophe should always come after the S to talk about possession. Apostrophes. So how do we go about adding the S and apostrophe? We add apostrophe and S to singular words not ending in S. For example, the cat's toy. the book's cover. Each of these words doesn't end with S, and therefore the apostrophe comes after the word and then the S. We add apostrophe and S to singular words ending in S. Garth Brooks' latest recording. Now Brooks is the name of the person, and to show that it's his possession, we are using apostrophe and S at the end of his name. American Express's advertising campaign. Now American Express is the name of one corporation or an institution, and we are using S, an apostrophe and S, to talk about their possession. So whether it's a singular word not ending in S or a singular word ending in S, we use apostrophe and S. We add S and then apostrophe to plural words ending in S. For example, girls' bicycles, kids' books, ladies' garments, employees' agreements. Now here what we find is girls, kids, ladies and employees are already plural words. They end in S, and they are plural and they're ending in S, so we use just an apostrophe and not again an S. We use apostrophe and again an S to plural words not ending in S. So if the plural word is already ending in S, we don't use an S after the apostrophe to talk about possession. But if the plural word is not ending in S, then we use apostrophe and again S. For example, women's plans, men's shoes, people's election, children's bedrooms. Now in all of these cases, the plural words are not ending in S. So we use S after the plural word and apostrophe to talk about theirs or their possession. When a common or proper noun is more than one word, there are special rules of using apostrophes. Usually we add the apostrophe and S to the last word in the noun. So for example, if there's a word like it's a compound noun like mother-in-law or manager in training. Now here, because there are a number of words, where should we use the apostrophe and S to talk about their possession? So here we use apostrophe and S to the last word of the compound noun. So it becomes like mother-in-law's visit, not mother's-in-law visit, but mother-in-law's visit, or manager in training's duties. We also add apostrophe and S to the last word of the name of a business company or an institution, like State Bank's New Hours or Procter and Gamble's products. Now, after the name of the institution, business institution, we use apostrophe and S to talk about theirs. We also add apostrophe and S to the last name mentioned if a single item belongs to more than one person. For example, Wayne and Judy are husband and wife. So their home becomes actually home of both. So in such a case, we can't say Wayne's and Judy's home, which means two different homes. So we use apostrophe and S to the last name in that particular uh, group of nouns where we are talking about a single item belonging to more than one person. Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell's car. The receptionist and secretary's printer, which means this printer belongs to more than one person. Similarly, we add an apostrophe to words showing periods of time if they show possession. 1 day's schedule, 3 days wait, 1 year's salary. So we also use apostrophe to words showing periods of time if they show possession. We add an apostrophe to words showing amounts of money if they show possession. A dollar's serial number, a penny's value, 2 cents worth. Now, because cents is already plural, we are using an apostrophe and not an S to show the possession. Now, we also use apostrophes to show omission. So, that's what we call when we contractions. In English, we call them as contractions, where numbers or letters have been omitted. We use an apostrophe to show that something is omitted. Becky doesn't work today. That means Becky does not work today. The doctor couldn't give me a prescription. It means the doctor could not give me a prescription. Who's on first? Which means who is on first. I can't get tomorrow afternoon, which means I cannot. So all of these contractions use apostrophe, and in this case apostrophe shows omission. So apostrophes, the basic purpose of apostrophes is to show possession, whether singular nouns or plural nouns or compound nouns, and that's the basic duty of an apostrophe, to show possession. But there is another case of usage of apostrophe where apostrophes are used to show omission. So let's try to understand when not to use apostrophes. We do not use an apostrophe to form a plural, but only to show possession for either singular or plural words. So sometimes apostrophes are confused for writing plurals. But let us remember that apostrophe's basic function is to show possession and not plurals. Though we use S in conjunction with the usage of apostrophes, but they basically are used to show possession and not plurals. For example, if you want to say trim the potato's lower limbs, trim the tomatoes lower limbs, we might say get the tomatoes from the garden, where we are trying to talk about the plural of tomato, which is not right. So because already tomatoes is plural, so we use apostrophe to just say that it's possession. Read the bag of chips nutrition label. Read the nutrition label on this bag of chips. Now sometimes we write wrongly using apostrophe between before s when it's a plural noun. So that's the wrong way of writing. So apostrophes do not work to form plurals, but they show possession. Okay, let's do an exercise to what we have understood up to now. So these are some sentences where apostrophes are missing or they're misused. So let's try to look at each of these sentences and try to correct them. Mr. Jones's grocery store has better produce than Mrs. Smith's. Now in this case we have two singular nouns, Mr. Jones and Mrs. Smith. But one of the nouns, Smith, does not end with S, and one another noun, Jones, ends with an S. In either case, because both of them are singular, we use an apostrophe and S to show their possession. Similarly, Computer USA's top selling product is Micron's latest MMX computer. Now here USA's Comp USA is the name of an institution, and probably Micron is one of the products. And because we are talking about the name of companies or name of products, and to talk about possession, we use apostrophe and S. Janice and Jay's horse was named the Grand Champion Stud. Now here we have a compound noun where we are talking about two people and the item belongs to both of them. So because the item, the horse, belongs to both of them, we use apostrophe and s to show possession at the end of the last name, that is J. After 6 weeks steady work, we earn a permanent position and a day's paid vacation. Now we have here two words talking about the period of time, a day and 6 weeks. And because a day is like a singular noun with no s at the end, we use apostrophe and s to talk about its position. Whereas in the case of weeks, 6 weeks, weeks is already a plural noun, so we only use apostrophe and not s again to talk about its possession. The picnic basket is theirs. Now in this case, the apostrophe was wrongly used because theirs is a plural word, and it's not used to talk about possession. So when we use yours or theirs or ours, so there is no need to use an apostrophe because it's talking about plural. It's making a plural there and not a possessive word. Let's do some more. Our firm's territory has doubled in the last 6 months, and the new responsibility is yours. Again, if you look at the answer, how to do them. Now, firm is one word. So, talk about its position, we use apostrophe and s. The new responsibility is yours. Now, the new responsibility is yours. Here again, your is already a possessive word, so there is no need to use again an apostrophe and yes to say yours. Similarly, every Saturday afternoon, the women's issues group meets for lunch. Now, we have a plural word which does not end with s, so women. So we have to use an apostrophe and an s to talk about its possession. Bonnie works as a dentist's assistant. Now, dentist is a singular word, so to show possession we use apostrophe and s. Employees' motivations differ from an owner's. Now here we find owner is a singular word and employees is a plural word. And to talk about their possession, in case of owner we use apostrophe and s, but in case of employees we do not use an s along with an apostrophe because there's already an s present in the plural word. Let's do one more to really grasp what we have learned. The manager evaluated the sales associate's performance. Where would you put the apostrophes? The fine equal 2 weeks pay. Owen isn't scheduled to work today. Yes, the manager evaluated the sales associate's performance. Now here associate is an employee probably, and it's a singular, so apostrophe shows possession. The fine equal 2 weeks pay. Again 2 weeks, and after s we use apostrophe, it shows possession. Owen isn't scheduled to work today. Now in this case we use an apostrophe to denote not possession but a contraction, an omission of a word, not. So Owen isn't scheduled to work today. Right. So we have understood the usage of apostrophes. They are used to show possession. Basic purpose is to show possession. And if it's a singular word, we use an apostrophe and s after that word to show possession. If it's a plural word, even then we use an apostrophe and s to show possession. If the word ends with s, singular word ends with s, we use apostrophe and s. If the plural word ends with s, then we do not use s again but just write an apostrophe to show possession. If it's a compound word or two people, the item belongs to two people at the same time, we always use apostrophe at the end or the last word of that compound noun. And the other usage of apostrophes, they are used to denote contraction or an omission of a letter or a word, like does not or doesn't for does not, or can't for cannot. Apostrophes are not used to write plurals. Possessive words like their, your, our. When we say ours, theirs, yours, we do not write an apostrophe because they are already possessive words and it's plural possessive. Now let's move on to something else. Now let's talk about hyphens. The main purpose of a hyphen is to join words to create a compound word, which is a combination of words used as one word. Compound words in English may be written in three ways, like a single word, or as two words, or as a hyphenated word. Of course, sometimes we may be in doubt to understand whether to use hyphens or not. So it is always helpful to consult a recent dictionary to understand if that word is really a hyphenated word or not. So hyphen is like a small dash we put between words. Now these are the three ways in which compound words can be written in English. So we have two word compound nouns like window box, coach, potato, a hat rack, or guitar pick. So these are compound words where there are two words are written separately, compound nouns. We also have hyphenated compound nouns like father-in-law, or cook-off, or co-payment, mayor-elect, or light year, and ball and socket joint. So here we have like compound nouns and they're written in hyphenated forms, small dashes in between. And sometimes you can have compound nouns as a single word, like driveway, raindrop, candlelight, speedboat, sunscreen, or watermelon. Now there are two words, but they're written as single word and they're compound nouns. So it's always important to not to overuse hyphens and consult a dictionary to find if the word has to be hyphenated or not. Now we use a hyphen to join two words working together as one. Mark is a singer dancer. That means he's a singer as well as a dancer. Peter Rose was a player coach for Cincinnati Reds. Now Peter Rose was a player coach. He was a player as well as a coach. George Clooney has joined the ranks of well-known actor-directors. That means he's an actor himself and also a director. So we use a hyphen to join two words working together as one. We use a hyphen to join more than two words into a single word. More than two words into a single word. Know-it-all, somebody who behaves as if he knows everything. Good for nothing, not useful. 5-year-old, a kid whose age is 5 years. So we are using more than two words and turn them into a single word by using hyphens in between. We also use a hyphen to join two or more words that function as a single modifying word. If the modifying words follow the word, then the modifying words are not hyphenated. An ill-trained evaluator causes more problems than no evaluator at all. Now here we find that we are using a modifying word, ill-trained, something like an adjective, for the word noun evaluator. Now because an adjective always comes before a noun, and in such a case we can hyphenate it. But if the same adjective or modifying word ill-trained comes after the noun, as sometimes adjectives do come after the noun and before a verb, after the verb, so we do not hyphenate. So an ill-trained evaluator, ill-trained is hyphenated. The evaluator was ill-trained. Now the modifier or the adjective is coming after the noun, it is not hyphenated. Management and the union finally agreed after months of hard-nosed negotiations. The negotiations were hard-nosed. So when the single modifying word comes um, function as a single modifying word. They follow the word they modify. Um, they are they're not hyphenate. We use a hyphen to join prefixes such as self, half, ex, or great, post, pro, former, wise, or the suffix elect to words. We use hyphens to join words like all powerful, or self made, or half baked, or ex wife, or great grandfather, post war, or treasurer elect. Now, in all of these words, um, prefixes are joined by other words, or the suffixes are joined with other words by using hyphens. We use a hyphen to avoid confusing or awkward spellings. Sometimes, uh, say for example, if you want to talk about repairing something, pairing or repairing or joining together like in a different fashion. So if you just write repair, it means something else. It means like something is damaged and you're repairing it. But that's not the meaning. So to avoid this confusing or awkward spellings, what we do generally is to use a hyphen. The committee's job was to repay the tournament participants. Here it is not repair, so hence if you write repair without a hyphen, the word without a hyphen, it could be very confusing to the reader. So to avoid the confusion, uh, we use hyphens. My mother decided to recover her old rocking chair. It is not recover, but recover. The doorway had a bell-like shape. Okay, so we're talking about a shape here, so we use hyphens. We use a hyphen to join a capital letter to your word. After that, you will see a T intersection. Turn right at the first road after the S curve. The carpenter used a T square. Now we are using like it's something like when we want to join a letter to a word to denote what it actually means. So we use a hyphen. We use hyphen to write two-word numbers between 21 and 99 as words. So whenever we are writing words from 21 to 99 uh, in words, so we use a hyphen like 72 or 34 or 99. We use a hyphen to join fractions written as words like 1/2, 3/4. So we use a hyphen to join them. We also use a hyphen to join numbers to words used as a single adjective like 4-year loan, 6-foot window, 7-year lease, 2-year-old girl. So here we are joining numbers to words. So and they are used as a single adjective. 2-year-old is a single adjective and it is used to join to the word girl. So this number, which is of course more than one word but a single adjective, it is used, a hyphen is used to join it. Now let's remember some guidelines of using hyphens. We use a hyphen to separate a word between syllables at the end of a line. So and we also need to remember that we never leave a single letter syllable on a line. Divide hyphenated words at the hyphen. We never divide a one syllable word and insert an hyphen. We need to avoid dividing words that have fewer than 6 letters in them. We need to avoid dividing the last word of a paragraph by using hyphens. And it's generally better to avoid dividing a number by using hyphens. So when we are in doubt whether to use a hyphen or not, because there are many ways in which compound nouns can be written or numbers or words can be divided, so it's always better to check a dictionary if you have used it in the right way. Now let's take a quick look into parentheses or brackets as we call it. We use parentheses to enclose explanations that interrupt the normal flow of a sentence and are only marginally related to the text. So in a sense, they are also interchangeable with the dashes in this kind. Center Street, a party neighborhood if there was ever one, is a great place to live. Now, after Center Street, we are using parentheses to give like an information which is marginally related to the text, very marginally. The neighbors had a picnic on 4th of July, and in parentheses we have something like, fortunately we were invited. And this is a remark which interrupts the normal flow of the sentence. So such um, interruptions are generally written in parentheses. Unfortunately, another set of neighbors, they were not invited, called the police to complain about the noise, probably that of the illegal fireworks. Again, there are two comments, they were not invited, probably that of the illegal fireworks, which are written in parentheses to show that they are comments and they are interruptions to the normal flow of the sentence, and they are only marginally related to the text. We party goers, how were we to know? Were completely surprised by the officers. Now, uh, and the party goers, there is a comment aside, how were we to know? So this is written in parentheses. So in all this case, if you observe that in the second sentence, we capitalized the word in the parenthesis and ended it with a full stop. Even in the third case, it's ended with and it's ended with a full stop. Now, what is this? And in all other cases, we have not capitalized it. So when a comment in a parenthesis comes at the end of the sentence, we write it as a separate sentence. We use the punctuation related to a separate sentence. But if the parenthesis comment is coming in between the sentence, there is no need to capitalize the first letter or use the other punctuation marks. We use parentheses to enclose information when accuracy is essential. Sometimes, like the twin children of the deceased couple, Alma and Otto, requested an autopsy. Now here, if you, because we need to mention which couple, so because accuracy is essential, we use that information in parentheses. The client agrees to pay the sum of $225 per hour. So because $225 to show it in letters too, we use it in the parenthesis. Now let's come to the diagonal mark or the slant mark. Much like the hyphen, a diagonal mark is used to join words or numbers. The most frequent use of diagonal is with words and or, which shows the sentence refers to one or both of the words being joined. The cast will consent to interviews on radio and or TV, where we are using a slant mark between and or, which means that it could be on radio or it could be on TV. Apple sauce and or blended fruits can replace oil in most cake recipes. So either applesauce or blended fruits, and we are using a slant mark to denote it between and or. We use a diagonal mark to separate numbers in a fraction. It takes us 4.5 hours to do the inventory at the end of the week. He'll want a 1 5/8 inch wrench for this nut. So it's like to separate numbers in a fraction, we use the diagonal marks. Now let's take a quick look at how to write numbers in sentences. Generally, in newspaper writing, figures and numbers are used instead of words because they are easier to identify and read. However, a number at the beginning of a sentence is always written as a word. In more formal writing, if a number can be written as one or two words, write it as a word. But if it's more than one or two words, we write it as a numeral. So we saw 15 safety movies last year.
15 is just one word, so we are writing it as one word. The number can be written as one word. But we saw 115 movies last year. Here 115, it's more than one word or two words, so we generally use it as a numeral. The student wrote, I will not talk in class 300 times. Now 300 is a two word number, so we can write it. But the student wrote, I will not talk in class 350. Now 350, now it goes up to four words, so we generally use the numeral. While writing numbers, it is important that we use Arabic numerals, that is 1, 2, rather than the Roman numerals. It's always better to write a number at the beginning of a sentence as a word, even if it is more than two words. 125 employees received year-end bonuses. Right, so in this video we have talked about the usage of apostrophes, the usage of hyphens, and we also talked about the usage of parentheses, diagonal marks, and how to incorporate numbers in writing. If you have any queries or questions, you can approach us with the details given. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.